What is up, guys? It's Vox, back again with another Master Duel deck profile for Season 5, and this time I'm showcasing my favorite deck, and actually the first one that I made back when Master Duel released in January, and it's Heroes. Heroes, in my opinion, is the most versatile deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And the reason that I believe that, it is because it's self-reliant, self-sufficient, it doesn't require different engines from different decks, different archetypes for it to work, and it has solutions for every problem that you will face at the ladder, whether that is backward decks, etc. So let's go straight to the deck profile and explain why I play the cards that I play. For hand traps first, if you saw my previous deck profile for Adamancipators, the rocks, you will see that I have the same hand traps, triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, and 2 Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is your protection for you to resolve effects, for you to stop their Ash Blossom, their Maxi, etc. But in general, like this 8 hand trap lineup, excluding of course some other cards like Nibiru, etc. But usually this 8 hand trap lineup is your safest bet for hand traps. Obviously you could run Infinite Permanence, Effect Veilers, or Droll and Lockbird, etc., which are effective, but usually these 8 will be enough. Like you could literally add these 8 cards into every single deck and you are fine. For the monster lineup, we will start with the Vision Hero engine. We play 3 Vision Hero Faris, 2 Vision Hero Vion, which you can play 3, but I choose to play 2 because I can't be bothered crafting the 3rd, and 2 Vision Hero Increase. Some people choose to play 1 Increase, but the problem with that is that if you draw him, if you draw that 1 Increase that you have, your entire Vision Hero engine is dead, basically. Even though your Vision Hero Vion is your best normal summon, you still want to have your Vision Hero Faris active, just in case you want to go into different plays. What Vision Hero Faris does is you discard 1 card, you can special summon from your hand, and if he's special summoned, you can place 1 Vision Hero monster from your deck into the spell and trap zone. And usually, not usually, always, you want to bring your Vision Hero Increase off of your Faris. What Increase does is, if you take battle or effect damage while he is on the graveyard, you can place him from the graveyard back into the spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap. Continuous trap, keep that in mind because I will mention it in a bit. During the main phase, if this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can tribute 1 hero monster, you can special summon this card, and if he is special summoned from the spell or spell and trap zone, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Vision Hero from your deck. And the level 4 or lower Vision Hero deck that you will always summon off of your Increase is your Vion. So basically the combo is you discard a card to special summon Faris. Faris will bring Vision Hero Increase into your spell and trap zone, and then you will tribute a monster, usually Faris, to special summon your Vision Hero Vion from the deck. And when Vision Hero Vion is normal special summoned, you can send a hero monster from your deck to the graveyard, and his other effect is you can banish 1 hero monster from your graveyard and you can add 1 polymerization from your deck to your hand. So he's basically, he will thin your deck, he will throw cards from your deck to the graveyard that you don't want to draw for you to get your searches off from cards like your Shadow Mist, and he's basically your polymerization searcher. That's why I said that he's better and actually now your best normal summon in comparison to Stratos, because he can not only just search you a card by just dumping Shadow Mist, he can also get you the polymerization for your follow-up plays. So this is for our Vision Hero engine. As I've said, it's crucial for the deck, you need it to actually play it. If you do not have the Vision Hero engine, you will struggle a lot, and most likely you will not be able to actually play this deck in higher ranks. For the Elemental Hero lineup, we play 2 Elemental Hero Stratos. Stratos is basically the treasure for the deck. Everybody knows what he does. You either add a hero monster from your deck to your hand, or you can destroy spell traps in the field up to the number of hero monsters you control except him. 2 Stratos, we play 2 Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist is one of the options that you can dump from Vion, because what Shadow Mist does is if she's special summoned, you can add a quick play chain spell from your deck into your hand, or if she's sent from the graveyard, if she's sent in any way to the graveyard, whether that's from hand, field, or deck, you can add 1 hero monster from your deck into your hand, and you can only use 1 of each effect once per turn. She's incredible, that's why we play 2, in case you can dump her with Vion in 1 turn, for example, and then you can either fusion Destiny and use her to make Dangerous, so you can have 1 extra search in case you need it. We play one elemental hero, Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier is absolutely insane. It's a phenomenal card. It gives you follow-up. It will add you 2 cards, discard you 1 if you use him as a fusion material. And that obviously works once per turn. But what you can do is, because you usually make Sunrise with Liquid Soldier, and Sunrise will get you your Miracle Fusion, what you can do is you will poly with using using Liquid Soldier as fusion material to make Sunrise, and then as a follow-up for your next turn, you can Miracle Fusion using your Liquid Soldier again to draw another 2 cards, discard 1. His first effect almost never comes up, which is he's basically a monster reborn for a level 4 hero, for level 4 or lower hero monster in your graveyard, but that is only if he's normal summon, not special. But we don't really care about that much. It's mostly the second effect, where if he's used as a fusion material, you draw 2, discard 1, which is incredible. And lastly, for the Elemental Hero lineup, we play one Honest Neos. Elemental Hero Honest Neos is honestly the hand trap for the deck. Most of the people don't know how to play around this. And a quick tip, if you're playing this deck, when you go to the battle phase, you'll have 2 prompts if you have Honest Neos in your hand. You never want to activate him on the first prompt. You always want to activate your Honest Neos on the damage step, because usually on the damage step, people won't be able to actually respond to the activation of Honest Neos, because very few cards in the game can actually respond when effects are activated on the damage step. That's why Honest Neos is honestly this good. And what he does is, you can discard him from the hand, and you can target 1 hero monster on the field, and it gains 2500 attack until the end of this turn. His second quick effect will never come up, because he needs to be on the field in order for the second quick effect to activate. But basically, his second quick effect acts as a you can discard 1 hero monster, and this card will gain the attack of the discarded attack. So it's basically a vice versa effect of either you discard him to give his attack to a monster of yours, or if he's on the field, you can discard a different hero that you might have to buff him even more. But as I've said, you will very rarely, if ever, actually summon him into the field. There could be situations where if you have your Wonder Driver on the field and he dies, what Wonder Driver does is that when he dies, for example, you can special summon a hero from your hand. There could be applications where you could summon your Honest News from the hand, but most of the times you would rather get you would rather special summon, a Stratos or a Vion or anything else that could gain you advantage. But either way, let's go back to the deck profile. For the Destiny Hero lineup, we play 2 Destiny Hero Malicious, best extender for the hero deck. Actually a card that many decks choose to play because he is that good, and he's also level 6, and some people can abuse him for the Xyz, for some Xyz levels where you can use him for like level 6 Xyz and then climb up from there if they have like decks like that. We play 1 Destiny Hero Denier, newly added with our Overlord Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. What Denier does is, if he's normal special summoned, you can take 1 of your Destiny Hero monsters from your deck graveyard or that is banished and place it on the top of your deck. He basically acts as your 3rd Malicious, but there could be applications that most of the times you will actually face where you would summon your Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, you will resolve him, but when he gets into the graveyard, your opponent could chain a Cold by the Grave, for example, to negate his effect and banish him. But with cards like Denier, you can actually use his first effect and actually get your Destroy Phoenix Enforcer off of the banished pile back into your extra deck, and then you can resummon him with your poly. So that is something that could come up. His second effect is that if you have a Destiny Hero monster on your field or in your graveyard, other than Destiny Hero Denier, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, and you can only use the second effect once per duel. An incredible card, but you only need him once. 1 Destiny Hero Draw Hunt. This is a spicy take of the deck. You can, instead of playing Draw Hunt, you could play Celestial, but the reason that I choose to play Draw Hunt is because if he is special summoned by an effect of a hero monster, you can make each player draw 1 card, and during the next standby phase, after this card was sent into the graveyard, you can special summon him again from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. This effect of drawing 1, what you can do is you can activate him once on your turn when you summon him, and then on your opponent's standby phase, you'll have the prompt that if he's on the graveyard, you can special summon him again for another draw 1 for you and your opponent. The combo for this card is that if you use his effect chain 1, and then on chain 2 you chain Mask Change and go into your Dark Law, your opponent will draw 1 card, but then your Dark Law will activate, giving you the prompt to banish one card of your opponent's hand. I really like this combo. Most of the times I will actually win games because of that. And it's also that extra bit of advantage you can get, but sometimes it can backfire. And last but not least, for our Destiny Hero lineup, I choose to play one Destiny Hero Plasma. I say this because some people actually do not like playing Plasma, especially in TCG, but I can understand that. But for Master Duel specifically, this card is absolutely insane, is incredible. Like the power spike that you will have when you get Plasma into the field is incredible. And the reason that I say this because, in case you don't know, what Plasma does is that you need to tribute 3 monsters to special summon him, and when he's on the field, he's a skill drain on legs for your opponent's monster, and he also has the effect of the Relinquished. What that means is that once per turn, you can target one monster your opponent controls, you equip that target to this card, you can only have one monster equipped, and you gain half of its original attack on your Plasma. So basically, you're a skill drain for your opponent. It's an easy monster to get out because you'll have a lot of fodder hero monsters on the field that you can use either for your link climbs, for your fusion materials, or for your Plasma to get into the field. Straight into the spells, we play one Polymerization. Obviously, we are a fusion main deck, and you can also search off of your Vion. We play one Reinforcement of the army for an extra search for your either Stratos or Vion or whatever you might need for your hand. One Miracle Fusion, which you search off of your Sunrise. One Emergency Call for an extra search for your deck. You could even play 2 or 3 depending on the rank that you play, depending on if you tend to break a lot or whatever. I play 1 Hero Leaves. The reason that I play 1 is because I choose to go blind first every single time, and you probably noticed why, but I will explain in a bit. But ideally, if you care about only going second, you would go for triple Hero Leaves, triple Vion, and then 1 Stratos. I'm only prefacing this by saying this because going first, Hero Leaves most of the times doesn't help. Usually it will most of the times backfire because you will lose 4,000 life points, and the advantage you could get from it, it's not that bad actually sometimes, because you can get your Mask Change from special summoning your Shadow Mist. It's not that bad, but what I'm trying to say is that the 4,000 life points decrease when your opponent goes second. If he has a response to your first board that you set up, usually it will make you lose. That's what I'm trying to say. I have actually lost games when I resolved Hero Leaves, and it completely backfired for me. 2 Fusion Destiny. At this point, you're probably tired of seeing this fucking card since Destroy Phoenix Force release. You know what it does. You fusion summon off of the deck. Insanely powerful card. Incredible, actually. I choose to play 2 D-Force. That's why I said I choose to go blind first, because of D-Force. D-Force is incredible. It's the nuts. What it does is when you activate, you search a Plasma off of your deck, or it will get you 1 Plasma off of the graveyard. And while you control a Plasma, you have 3 effects that are happening at the same time. That's why it's a continuous spell. You cannot draw during the draw phase. You can counter this effect by a bit, but when I say counter, I mean if you set up your hand to have follow-up before you set up your Plasma into the field, if you prepare for the next turns, this won't hurt you at all. Like, it doesn't matter. But you need to prepare for your follow-up. The second effect, your opponent cannot target cards you control with card effects. That is so good. I cannot even explain how good that effect is. And the third effect, each Destiny Hero Plasma you control gains 100 attack for each monster in the graveyard. Both graveyards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and can also make a second attack during each battle phase. The Big Dick Force, it should be renamed, because it's that good. That's why I choose to play 2. You could play 3, but it can be bricky. Like, ideally you want to either draw it by your Liquid Shoulder effect, by your draw hand, etc. You can search this, but if you draw it, and obviously you want to go first, you will search for your Plasma and you will set up your board to end up on a Plasma Darklaw, for example, or a Plasma Darklaw DPE. You get the gist. That is how your end board is going to look most of the times with D-Force. Like, it protects you from targeted effects, like your opponent cannot target cards you control, your Plasma cannot die by card effects. Like, what most of the times will happen, and it happened to me multiple times, in multiple occasions people will Lightning Storm my back row, for example, and that is the play. because when you Lightning Storm the back row, now your cards can be targeted. But a lot of people, what they will do is they will not read the cards, right? Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read. We know that meme, right? They will Lightning Force your attack position monsters, right? They could destroy whatever else card that you have, but your Plasma will survive. And then they will go and read the card, and they will notice, oh shit, Destiny Hero Plasma cannot die from card effects. So people do not expect this card, and it's actually one way that, that is the reason why I climbed to Platinum 1 in the first few days for every single season just playing heroes. Like, you can imagine Season 1 when you had Drytron, when you had Tri-Brigade Zoo, what you still have obviously, but still, you had Edlitz going Rampart. Like, they would destroy the meta. Like, these were the best decks, and actually I could defeat those decks by going blind first and setting up my board as I explained. 2 Super Poly for extra disruption. You can choose to replace this with anything else, more searchers or like more hand traps if you choose to do so. I really like Super Poly because of the extra disruption in case they kaiju my Plasma, but I still have a hero monster on the field, like a Sunrise for example. I can then, by using Super Poly properly, I can disrupt them and actually force them to end their turn or completely stopping them from killing me. Triple Mask Change. Mask Change is an incredible card because not only it will get you into your Masked Hero lineup for your extra deck, it helps you dodge targeted negation so you can resolve your effects on the field. What I mean by that is, let's say you try to activate your Elemental Hero Stratos or your Vision Hero Vine, for example, when you either normal or special summon them. Let's say you do that and your opponent in response chains either Effect Veiler, Infinite Permanence on anything that targets in order to negate your effect. What then you can do is you can change your Mask Chains into targeting one of the monsters you want to resolve, which is, as I've said, for example, either Vine or Stratos. And if they have no response to Mask Chains, when the chain resolves, your Mask Chains will activate. You will use that monster to go to one of your Mask Chains hero monsters that you have in your extra deck, and his either Effect Veiler, Infinite Permanence on any other card that you could actually use against you that targets to negate your effect will lose its target because of Mask Chains, so you will resolve your effects. Key interactions like this is why this deck is so good if you actually know how they work, and if you take advantage of them, you will notice a significant increase not only in your win rate but also in your gameplay. Same case with Mask Chains is for Vision Hero Increase. Vision Hero Increase because he acts as a continuous trap card. That means that you can basically chain him into effects. So the same way that you can dodge effects like Effect Veiler and Infinite Permanence, as I mentioned earlier, with your Mask Chains, the same thing you can do with if you have Vision Hero Increase in your spell and trap zone and you try to activate an effect of a monster. You can chain Increase to tribute that monster, and that monster will resolve into the graveyard because Effect Veiler or Infinite Permanence, for example, will lose its target. So combos like these, if you know how to use them, like these tricks will improve your gameplay quite a lot. For the extra deck, 1 Dark Law, 1 Masked Hero Blast. Masked Hero Blast is only here for you to resolve your Stratos, as I've said, with Mask Chains if he's being targeted by a targeted negate. Dark Law is insane. I choose to play 1, you can play 2. Ideally you want to play 2, but I can't be bothered crafting the second. I would rather keep the crafting points to craft for other decks. But Dark Law is the best hero card, apart from Destiny, Destroy Phoenix Enforcer obviously. But what Dark Law does is, any card served to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. Once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to the hand, except during draw phase or damage step, you can banish 1 card from your opponent's hand. If Dark Law is on the field, people need to keep this in mind, is if Dark Law is on the field, your opponent cannot Forbidden Droplet you. In case you didn't know this interaction, what Forbidden Droplet does is it needs to send any number of other cards from your hand or field to the graveyard. That is the cost in order for the card to activate. And when Dark Law is on the field, any card that goes into the graveyard is banished instead. That means that Forbidden Droplet cannot meet its cost requirement in order to activate. So if you have Dracula into the field with the plasma, you have an added layer of protection for your end board. So they cannot activate effects, they cannot target you, and then they can't even forbidden droplet you. So if you have droplet with your plasma set and D-Force, the only counter for your deck is like a kaiju. And things like that. So you need to keep this in mind when you're setting up your Darklaw. Darklaw is one of the cards that you always want to end up in your end board, especially if you're going first. As I've said, Mask Hero Blast is for your for Elemental Hero Stratos in order to dodge some targeted negation. His second effect will come up, which you pay 500 life points, and then you target one spell trap card your opponent controls. You return it to the hand. Pretty good. You will use this effect quite a lot if you chain it properly. We still play one Dangerous. The reason I decided to still play Dangerous is because he will be the unbreaker of your hands. He will unbreak your hands so many times because you can send one Destiny Hero monster and one Dark Effect monster. That means that if you have a shitty hand with one Fusion Destiny, you can just make Dangerous, send one Malicious for the extra extender, and then the one Shadow Mist that will search you a hero monster, and then you can go from there. One Elemental Hero Sunrise. Elemental Hero Sunrise is easy to make. He's searching you your Miracle Fusion, and his second effect is that when attack is declared involving another hero monster you control, you can target a card to the field and destroy it. So keep in mind that if you have an Elemental Hero Sunrise on the field, and you have another hero monster, and then there is a card on your opponent's field that you want to destroy first, you will want to attack with your other cards first to activate his effect. His effect will not activate when he is the one that is making the attack or he is being attacked. Because if you read his effect, it says when attack is declared involving another hero. That means it's either when you are the one that's making the attack or you are getting attacked by your opponent. But it needs to be another hero monster, that's what I'm trying to say, and not him, in order for his effect to activate. One Absolute Zero. Absolute Zero is absolutely amazing. What he does, his first effect is irrelevant. He gains 400 attack for each water monster in the field. We don't care. But his second effect is if this card leaves the field in any way, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls. If this card leaves the field, that means he either needs to go into the graveyard or he needs to get banished. If he goes into the extra deck, this effect will not activate. So you actually, most of the times, you will be the one triggering this effect from effects like your Visual Hero Increase, for example, which will come up a lot, or cards like using him again for a polymerization as a fusion material. Some people choose to play Mask Hero Acid. I will go really quick about this. I do not play this card. This card is a huge bait. It never comes up. I actually play this deck in TCG as well. It never came up, ever. In Master Duel, I have like close to 1,000 games playing heroes. I think it could only come up once, and at the time that it could come up once, I didn't have him into the deck. So it really doesn't matter. I think it's basically a waste. People could say the opposite. They could say that I have resolved him multiple times. I would rather see some replays, but honestly, in my opinion, and with my experience, honestly, there were never a moment where I could actually resolve him and he would gain me more advantage than I already had in the first place. One The Shining, one Great Tornado, one Escuridao. These are mostly your super poly targets. That's why I have them. I still play one Vision Hero Trinity. Vision Hero Trinity requires 3 monsters, and when you make him, he goes into a 5k bit stick, 5,000 attack points bit sticks, and he can attack 3 times. So if you make Vision Hero Trinity and you have an Honest News in hand, you have a monster with 5,500 attack that can attack 3 times. If your opponent cannot stop you, you're winning that game, let's be honest. I still play Dystopia. People will be like, what the fuck? Why are you actually still playing this card when you have Destroy Phoenix Enforcer? The reason I play this, and I have a replay to showcase for this, is because you will have games where you want to finish your opponent in less than 5 summons because of Nibiru. Nibiru is still our greatest threat. Nibiru is still our nemesis, our bane of existence, and you know the meme where they say the greatest hero end board that you can have is a Nibiru token with 40,000 attack points. We don't want that. That's why we play Dystopia, because Dystopia burns your opponent. To reiterate that, let's go into his effect. He says you will use him with Fusion Destiny, obviously. You will use 2 Destiny Hero monsters. You will use any Destiny Hero monster with your draw hand, ideally, because draw hand has 1600 attack. And what Dystopia does is If he's special summoned, you can target one level 4 or lower Destiny Hero monster in your graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the target's attack. So that's 1600 attack. That's 1600 burn damage easily. And what it does is, if this card's current attack is different from its original attack, except during damage step, quick effect, you can target one card to the field, destroy it, and if you do, this card becomes equal to this original attack. So basically, you can also set up combos with your Dread Decimator and having Dystopia on one of his arrows linking to him, and you can use your Dystopia as an extra disruption to your opponent's turn, which will come up sometimes, but most of the times that's why we play Dystopia, in order to kill our opponent quickly. Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, everybody is probably tired of seeing this fucking card into the game, especially because of the fact that it has an animation, so you will see him coming back again and again and again. It's like so disgusting, this card is insane. And for the Link monsters, obviously one Vert Anaconda, and then one Wonder Driver, one Cross Crusader, Dread Decimator. Dread Decimator basically buffs your monsters for 100 attack for each different hero monster you have in your graveyard, different names, that's what I mean. And if it attacks in the defense monster, it will do piercing damage. Your Wonder Driver, if a hero monster is normal special summon to a zone he points to, the down arrow, you can target one poly, fusion spell, or chain spell from your graveyard, and then you can set it. You can only activate this effect once per turn, and if he is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can basically special summon a hero from your hand. This effect can come up, it's useful, a lot of people forget this. And lastly, Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader is basically your monster reborn for your Destiny heroes, at worst. At best, he's your searcher. What he does, he requires 2 warrior monsters, and if he's linked summoned, you can target one Destiny hero monster to your graveyard, and you can special summon it. This is one of the ways where you can get your Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer out easily, with just using 2 warrior monsters, which is your entire deck. Your entire deck consists of warrior monsters. You can trade with one Destiny hero monster, add one hero monster with a different name from your deck into your hand. That's what I said, he is your searcher as well. Most of the times you'll use him as search, but now with your Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer, you have different applications. And you can only use each effect of extra hero Cross Crusader once per turn, and you cannot special summon monsters from the turn you activate this effect, except hero monsters. So Cross Crusader and Vision Hero Faris, for example, will lock you into only using heroes from your extra deck. So that means that if you go into this line, you will not be able to go into your Vert Anaconda as well. So you need to keep this in mind before you decide to go into this line of play. So this is basically the deck profile. You can play around with the ratios. As I've said, ideally you would go triple Vion, 1 Stratos, 2 Darklaw, 2 Cross Crusader. Like, if you don't want to play this iteration specifically, there are obviously better options that you can add, but I choose to play this because I like the way that the disruptions works with the deck. That's why you have so many options for your super poly targets, etc. But obviously, if you want to play for the more standard hero version, which is always going second most of the times, you would go for triple hero lives with no D-Force. You wouldn't play super poly, you would play probably more emergency calls, or you would play either more Stratos and, as I've said, more Vion, etc. But basically this is the idea and the way that I decided to play this deck. So let's go straight into the replays and showcase some of the deck's power. For the first replay, we're going second against Zoodiac. We have a decent hand. If you have played against Zoodiac, you know that there are a lot of times where they will end in this exact board that you're about to see. They're going into their Xyz. They want to end in a Trident and with like 1 or 2 back rows for disruption. And you will see the line of play that I decided to go. I have Hero Stratos with 2 Mask Chains in my hand. And we're about to draw Fusion Destiny. That is insane. We normal summon Stratos to activate his search. He Effect Veilers. As I've said in the deck profile, Effect Veiler, what it does, targets a monster to negate. And what do we have in our hand? Mask Change. We chain Mask Chain into our Stratos. He chains Trident to destroy. At this point, if I let the effect go off, let the chain resolve, we're fine, because we're still going to have an extra extension, we'll have a way to play, basically, that's what I'm trying to say, because our effect will resolve. We will search our Faris. But at this point, I want to see what his back row is, so that's why I choose to chain Mask Chains again to save my Stratos, and I actually want to go into Blast. to see what his back row is. But even if I didn't do that, that play would still be fine. The chain resolves, Dryden and Veiler lose their target, Stratos will resolve, will gain me my Faris, so I have follow-up. I activate Blast to see his back row, and he just scoops. He surrenders, maybe it was a call by the grave or who knows. Either way, let's go to replay number 2. For the second replay, you can see that we're playing second again, and our opponent is ending their phase. You're gonna be like, Vox, why did you choose to share this shitty replay? The only reason I choose to do so is because I want to showcase the amount of damage that a hero deck can do in less than like specific amount of summons. In this game, you will see that I actually made a misplay that I'm about to point out. We're normal summoning Vion, he chains Ash, we have Gold by the Grave into our hand. Ideally, if you didn't have Gold by the Grave in your hand, you would want to use D-Force first in case you want to bait. In case your opponent uses their Ash, you want to bait their Ash, because most of the time people just click yes. They don't read what the card does. They're like, it's searching something, it must be good. Click yes, right? Ideally, that's what you want to do, but I had Gold by the Grave in hand, so I had the extra protection for the negation, so I was fine. That's why I didn't do that, but ideally, that's what you want to do. I searched on... What I did was... Let's go back a bit. I sent Shadow Mist with Vion. Shadow Mist effect activates, is searching my Honest Neos, and I went Honest Neos because I have Fusion Destiny in hand, and then basically what I can do is, with Fusion Destiny, set up a board where I can finish my opponent. I draw my Plasma off of D-Force, I activate Vion to get the poly by banishing Shadow Mist, we're getting the poly, and then using Fusion Destiny. He's maxing, we don't really care that much because we have lethal in hand. We go, the chain resolves, we're setting Draw Hand and Malicious. Here comes Dystopia, activating her effect, or his effect, burning for 600, using the effect of Malicious to banish him from the graveyard to special summon one from the deck, going to the battle phase, attack with every single monster, and on damage step, activating Honest Neos, and killing our opponent with 3 summons. That's why I choose to play Dystopia still, because of games like that, where you can just finish your opponent in like 3 summons, and most of the times people will not expect this. Most of the decks cannot kill you in less than 3 summons, so that's why I choose to play it still. For the third and final replay, we're playing second again with a mediocre to bad hand. D-Force still in our hand, but of course when we're playing second, every single time. Our opponent Pot of Desires, we chain Ash, he has Cold by the Grave, and then we have nothing, we just sit and watch his combo going off. Chain resolves, he will just draw 2 with his Pot of Desires. He's playing, guess what? Swordsoul, right? Who could expect that? Fuck. He goes into his combo, finishing in Zhizhao. He's searching, chains his effect to also draw 1 card from all your effect on the graveyard. Chain resolves. Yada yada, you know how it works. You're probably tired of seeing this combo. He searches Long Young will activate, will discard his Daya, he will special summon the token, ending up on a Baron and Zhizhao on the board, which is a pretty decent board. Usually that's what they will end up on. There's obviously some more extensions that they can make, but this is decent. He's ending here, and we draw Faris. That is an insane draw, actually. We did what I recommended you guys do in the second replay, which is activating D-Force first to see if I can bait a negate, bait a hand trap or something. He's maxing immediately, which will let the chain resolve. Obviously, we have nothing. We're gonna get the Plasma in the hand. We're gonna activate Reinforcement of the Army. He doesn't negate. We get the Stratos, and the reason that I got the Stratos from the Reinforcement is because I have Super Poly for the extra interruption, as I've said in the deck profile. If I didn't have Super Poly, I would have to search for something else. Or let's say if I had maybe a Mask Change or something for an extra disruption or for a way to get my effect protected. In this case, I could not protect my effect because of Baron to Floor, but I could protect the effect from the targeted negation of Zhizhao. So that's why I mentioned, and I also chose to still play Super Poly in my deck, even though I have a going first build, for these extra layers of disruption that you can add into the gameplay. So we activate the search for Stratos, and funnily enough, instead of interrupting with either of his 2 negates on the field, because obviously he has more disruption to the hand, he chooses to effect Veiler me again, And what I choose to do is, obviously you will see, chain Super Poly. Discarding Malicious, which is a great discard for Super Poly. We don't want Malicious under our hand. The chain will resolve, the Veiler will lose his target, and we're using his Baron and our Stratos to make Great Tornado. Effective Veiler is going to lose the target, Stratos will resolve, we're going to search as our Shadow Mist, which Shadow Mist is one of the best discards for Faris, because you will also do a search, as you will see. The Great Tornado will activate, and what Great Tornado affects is basically reducing your opponent's attack to half for all of his monsters, which is incredible. It will come up most of the times. Activating Faris, discarding Shadow Mist, and one thing that you will notice is, and in case you have heard this multiple times but you don't know what it means, is chain blocking. What I'm about to show you is, I discarded Shadow Mist to activate my to special summon my Faris and activate him. What I choose to do here is, you will have two prompts. You'll have two effects that you can activate, and you have to decide in which order you want to activate them. I choose to activate my Shadow Mist first, first for chain 1 and Faris chain 2, because in this situation I actually want to resolve my Shadow Mist and not my Faris, because I want to search for the Honest Neos, because I have lethal on board. But in other ways, if you want to resolve your Faris first, what you would do is, you would first resolve your you will want to activate your Faris first, and then Shadow Mist second. By doing so, you chain block your opponent. If your opponent has a negation for, like, let's say Ass, to negate that search, by having Shadow Mist second, you protect your Faris from resolving. Effects will resolve, Faris will get us increase, Shadow Mist will get us Honest Neos. This is the misplay that I made because we're under max seed. We're under max C. What I could do is just straight up use the effect of Malicious, banish him and special summon the other from the graveyard, and then go for Plasma. This is the misplay that I made. I gave him one extra card because he didn't use his negate. I forgot about that. So my increase is getting negated, and I actually gave him an extra card, and I made an extra special summon for no reason, in case he had Nibiru, but he didn't. Then I go for the Malicious line, tribute them all, special summon Plasma, use the effect of Plasma to get his monster, and then on damage step use Honest Neos and attack him for 7k twice. So that is why I decided to play the way that I play with D-Force and Plasma, because as you can see, lines like this people almost never expect from a hero deck, so that's why I said it's so versatile. You can choose to play however you choose to do so. Like, you can play more aggressively, you can go for a second build, but I choose to play this because I find it so powerful, and you can disrupt and stop so many actually S-tier meta decks that you otherwise could not. Like, if you didn't have D-Force, for example, you could not do the plays that I do, because you can just completely stop your opponent right there and then. But either way, that's for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, hopefully I'd earned your subscription, but if you didn't, I'm also planning to I'm working on the Despia Thunder Dragon deck profile, and also for the Relinquish deck profile. If you saw my deck profiles that I uploaded from for Master Duel Meta, for Diamond 1, sorry. So I'm actually working on these two videos in the moment. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and take care now. Bye bye then.